Now, I'm going to get Christopher to speak, yeah? Christopher McCormack, yeah?
You hear me now, yeah? Good afternoon, folks. We're all here for good reasons. We're not racists, fascists, far right, or any other term thrown out by state media. Too close? Or any other term thrown out by state media. We're just concerned citizens worried about the path this town and this island as a whole is on. Whether you want to believe it or not, we're at a pivotal time in the country's history. The Ireland we grew up in, the Ireland of proud patriots, ancient traditions, has one foot in the grave. The people who stay quiet now are helping the traitors in power to run this country into the ground. Everyone I meet is aware of the corruption and tyranny, yet less than 1% will voice their concerns for fear of being called names by the same psychopathic criminal lunatics orchestrating our demise. I appeal to all the men who are not yet willing to speak. Can you at least get behind those who do? Everyone knows we have a local and national problem with mass immigration. Ireland has been open to and benefited from legal immigration for as long as I can remember. Nobody in our group has any issue with people immigrating from anywhere in the world through our long-standing legal immigration system. The problem is this mass uncontrolled immigration, where all the regular checks and balances are out the window. We have seen the impact of this chaos all over the country for the past few years, but now this highly funded, legalised human trafficking has hit our town with the housing of 100 illegal, undocumented men at the Gables. Even though some councillors were aware of the plans well in advance, the local community only got 2 days' notice and zero consultation. All our local councillors insisted they could do nothing, or they couldn't do anything about this because it was a government policy. Our government insisted they couldn't do anything about it because it was EU policy. They want you to feel like this is a headless monster they have no control over. They're lying. They're all lying to you. At a local level, we now know from other towns where councillors stood by their constituents that the housing of undocumented men could have been stopped. The problem was not that the local councillors didn't have the power. It was that there was no appetite amongst them because not one of them represent you. Not one of them had the moral fortitude to put your concerns ahead of illegal immigrants. In many cases, concerned mothers were arrogantly mocked and laughed at by councillors like Chris Pender and Robert Power for having the audacity to express their concerns. When the majority of locals rallied behind these mothers and their valid concerns, they were called racists, blocked, or their comments were deleted. We saw the top-down democracy of the Social Democrats and Fianna Fáil in real time. They censored all dissenting voices to portray the illusion of consensus. Rather than address the concerns of the locals, they tried to silence them. At a national level, we were told that our government had no power to stop this mass immigration of illegal immigrants because we were under EU law. In the same breath, we were told that Ireland would be fined by the EU if we refused to take in more illegals. Which is it? Let's assume we believe these contradictory responses from the government. Has anyone in government done a basic profit and loss to see which option costs the taxpayer less? A fine from the EU or housing illegal immigrants indefinitely? Unlikely, because most of the party-aligned TDs in this country are directly or indirectly benefiting from this legal human trafficking operation. How come the Czech Republic, Poland and Hungary managed to maintain their sovereignty and keep control of their borders? They have all stated publicly that they acted in the interest of their citizens or to defend their people against the dangers of uncontrolled migration. It's no coincidence that the leaders of these countries who put their own citizens first are labelled as far-right by our state-controlled media. We need to shake off the fear of labels. If we don't, this far-right label will be the stick this totalitarian regime used to beat us into serfdom. If I mention convicted murderer Joseph Puska for slaughtering Ashleen Murphy, or convicted murderer Joseph Pellini for beheading 2 gay men in Sligo, or the latest Algerian-born extremist for stabbing innocent children leaving school, this government and their propaganda wing at RTE will label me as racist. Now I know RTE have moved away from the news business into the narrative control industry, but would it not occur to their mindless, subservient viewers that the people who come to this country with the intentions of slaughtering innocent men, women and now children might in fact be the racists? RTE needs you to believe that mass uncontrolled immigration is fantastic. They will tell you with a straight face that the real problem we have is this vague, undefinable, almost mythical group called the far right who oppose mass immigration. Unfortunately for RTE, the so-called far right who oppose mass immigration has already been clearly defined by the Red C poll conducted for the Business Post. It's been defined as 75% in the country. Yes, 3 out of 4 of you fall into RTE's definition of far right, but don't question it and don't believe your lying eyes. censorship and suppression of public debate. Our Minister, Helen McEntee, is obsessed with pushing through a tyrannical hate speech bill, the likes of which has never been seen in a free society. This bill is the laughing stock of the civilised world. It has recently been described in the US House Committee as the most draconian hate speech laws in the world. It has passed the Dáil and is in final stages of the Senate, yet it has no support from the public. On the surface, this bill is named and summarised like a bill most people should be in support of. They want to make it a criminal offence to condone, deny, or grossly trivialise genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crimes against peace. Personally, I have a problem with any form of controlled speech, but many of you might not. It's when you look a bit deeper into the bill that you will see it's framed around protected characteristics. Those characteristics are race, colour, nationality, religion, national or ethnic origin, descent, gender, sex characteristics, sexual orientation or disability. This bill will in effect censor and criminalise debate on the main topics of our time. If you have an issue with mass uncontrolled illegal immigration, you're a racist or a xenophobe and you should be brought to justice. If you have a problem with schools sexualising our children or doctors mutilating healthy children, you're a transphobe and you should be brought to justice. A more accurate name for this bill would be the Shut Up and Do What You're Told bill. If this bill passes, which it looks likely to, the Gardaí will no longer be in the business of solving crimes. They will be confiscating devices in search of crimes. This is straight out of Stalin's playbook. Show me the man and I will show you the crime. What a perfect tool for silencing opposing voices. This same beauty, Helen McEntee, thinks the Irish government should be the arbiters of truth. But not satisfied with the absurdity of that, she also thinks Big Daddy government should be able to suppress and censor actual truths that don't complement the government narrative. So at a time when crime is through the roof in every serious category, we have the full power of the Justice Department obsessively focused on silencing and censoring words that might potentially hurt someone's feelings. As ridiculous as it sounds, it's far from a joke. Never in history have the good guys been the ones censoring speech. So now, just like France and Germany, we have school kids, infants, being stabbed on the streets. According to the Irish Times, the Algerian man allegedly involved in the stabbing arrived here over 20 years ago. His asylum claim was deemed to be bogus. He was subject to deportation orders for 7 years. He evaded those deportation orders with legal defence paid for by government-funded NGOs. At each step until the 2008 court decision, the state firmly opposed all efforts to grant the suspect leave to remain in Ireland. For 9 years he lived here without permission to remain. Nevertheless, in 2008 he was given leave to remain and later became a naturalised Irish citizen. He has never held down a job in the 24 years he was here. He was provided with housing by at least one Irish NGO separate from the NGOs that aided him in his legal battle against deportation. Is it really any wonder the government are manufacturing this far-right nonsense? They need to distract from the despicable crime, a crime that perfectly highlights their complete and utter incompetence. A rational government that honoured its constitutional duties to protect its citizens would have responded immediately with emergency measures to repair the broken immigration system and change the ludicrous self-deport policy to enforce deportation. To be honest, after such a despicable crime, it wouldn't have been beyond the pale to suspend all legal and illegal immigration until these deportation orders were enforced. But no, this irrational, tyrannical government chose to go after the people highlighting the problem. I wrap up by saying, we all know there's a problem. Even the most loyal RTE minions know there's a problem. We're a small island nation with limited resources. We cannot take in the world's problems without destroying ourselves. There are reports that some third world countries are emptying their prisons into the international protection scheme. And why wouldn't they? It's a complete free-for-all. It would be foolish not to. We need to close our borders and re-evaluate the whole situation. We should be focused on our own problems. Serious crime is through the roof. We have paedophiles and child porn peddlers getting suspended sentences, whilst a teacher who refuses to call a biological boy a girl can end up in Mountjoy prison indefinitely. You've probably seen that our signs were vandalised downtown by the far left useful idiots. It was quite revealing that they deleted the word Irish in our message to protect Irish people. Just like the government, these goons are okay with erasing Irish people. If they were capable of thinking for themselves, they would be on our side. To be honest, even the illegal immigrants who are already here should be on our side. We want to close our borders and return to a sustainable migration policy. Because if the government continue importing people at this rate, it won't just be the Irish people that are shafted. there would be no money for the new immigrants who are already here. Everyone out there who's afraid to speak out now because of your job, social circles, or because you've been made feel like a racist by RTE will have a chance to speak loud and clear at the ballot box by voting out all the rats that got us here. If you want change, don't vote for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Greens and especially Sinn Féin. Only independents that share our beliefs and true nationalist parties will save this country from the globalists. The vast majority of these establishment rats got in on the 6th, 7th, 8th or even 11th counts. The ranked choice voting system is heavily tilted towards the establishment. If you want them out, do not select any of the main parties anywhere in your ballot. Our actions and inactions at this time will shape the country we leave behind for our children and children's children. We need to unite. Thanks everyone for coming out. God save Ireland.